City, Missouri. These folks are going to introduce themselves and they're going to share what Jesus laid on their heart.
Hi guys, I usually say hi folks. I thought I'd change it up a little bit. This is Cyndy Tully, and you may know me from the fact that I have become an advocate, a very vocal advocate for Jeff Weinhaus, who is imprisoned in the state of Missouri in a facility where he's sitting, rotting, because he was exposing corruption in the state of Missouri, and Highway Patrolman Sergeant Henry Folsom actually tried to execute Jeff in 2012 under the pretense of returning Jeff's computers to him. Jeff was in turn, after being shot 4 times and they had hoped he would die, obviously, but he didn't. He was charged with trying to kill Sergeant Folsom, but there's evidence, FBI reports, there's video documentation that Jeff never touched a gun, was never a threat to Sergeant Henry Folsom. And so that's why I'm here. The Lord moved on my heart when I found out the story about Jeff, and I was to become a voice for him because they've silenced him. They put him in the bad part of the prison. It's illegal now, they say, for Jeff to have his voice recorded and put on the internet now. Can you imagine? Against our First Amendment rights. Okay, so right now I'm sitting in Jefferson City. We've come to the city to declare to the governor, his mansion's right up here on the hill, and the Capitol building's right up here on the hill, to declare to the governor that we want him to look at the website, freejeffnow.com, and determine with his own judgment if Jeff Weinhaus is guilty or not. And folks, you go there and you look at it and you'll determine Jeff is an innocent man. So that's why we're here. Now, on Friday, today is Sunday, on Friday, 2 days ago, I went to the Walmart in Catoosa, Oklahoma, to make a picture of Jeff, an 8x10, to put on a poster we're going to be carrying tomorrow, Monday, at the Capitol here, and on the sidewalk. We're going to do a peaceful assembly, carry our signs to make them aware of Jeff. We've got cards to pass out, political prisoner cards. We're going to do that tomorrow on Monday. I went on Friday to the Catoosa Walmart and was going to make a picture of Jeff, and it's a picture taken of him in the intensive care unit after he'd been shot twice in the head and twice in the chest with 40 caliber hollow point bullets. The 2 bullets that hit him in the head bounced off his skull, penetrated the skin, but bounced off the skull, shot twice in the chest, dropped into a pool of his own blood 12 seconds after he exited his vehicle at the point of location where Sergeant Henry Folsom had told him to come to get his computers back. 12 seconds passed. Fortunately, Jeff had a wristwatch on that recorded everything. That is going to be one of the saving factors for Jeff Weinhaus, because when we get godly, honest people to look at that website and see that evidence, they will not be able to sleep, and God will not give them rest until they do what's right and free the innocent man that they've got in their prison here. Bottom line. So I have come with the intention to do that. Okay, Friday, back to the Catoosa Walmart. I'm in the Catoosa Walmart. I go to the kiosk in the Photoshop department, and I do all my little finding it on my phone, the picture of Jeff. It's Jeff. It's Jeff Weinhaus, and he told me to make this picture to put on the poster. It's him. So it happens to be a picture that was pulled from a video that I believe Rudy Davis made. And for those of you haters and trolls and government informants and shills who are going to pinpoint down, well, did Rudy do that video, or did this person do that video, or who really did the video? I think Rudy Davis did it, but I can't be for certain positive. But it's Jeff Weinhaus and it's his picture. So don't be text messaging me, those of you that are paid to troll. Okay, so I'm making the picture. I do everything on the kiosk that I'm supposed to, and I ordered the picture, and it's a 1-hour print. So I've got to come back in an hour and pick this print up. So I go out to my car and it's hotter than Hades. I won't say hotter than the real name of the place, but it was hotter than Hades on that day. I think in Oklahoma on that day, the heat index was about 114, 110 to 114. I go out to my car because I've got my poster board out there, my markers to make the poster, and I start writing. And here's what the poster was going to say. It was going to have the picture of Jeff on it, and it was going to say, Jeff Weinhaus, courtesy of MHP, Missouri Highway Patrol. This is what happened to him, courtesy of them. So I start, coloring or using the markers and making the poster. Now, an hour later, I go back into the Walmart at Catoosa, Oklahoma. I want you all to know exactly where this Walmart is. People are calling this Walmart now and demanding an answer for what they did to me. And you will probably want to too when you hear this. Went back inside, went back to the photo department to pick up my picture, and I tell the little boy that there's 3 people there. There's a young boy, probably 17, 18 years old. There's a woman in the middle, and there's another woman on her left, and they're all kind of just hovering around the counter there. And I thought it was very odd that 3 people are in the photo department in Walmart at that time. So I tell the boy my name, and he goes over to pull my pictures, and he said, there's a problem with your pictures. And he lays them on the counter in front of me, and it was a copy, 2 copies of the same picture. And it's the picture of Jeff's face with the neck collar on, and his eye is swollen shut. It's discolored, blood on him. The bullet hole here shows. And he laid them down, and in the middle of this picture is superimposed an arrow, like you would click it to watch a video. Folks, I want to tell you something. You can go all day long online and find arrows of all sorts to put on your pictures or put on anything you want to put an arrow on. You can get a copy of this picture, of this arrow, any place on the internet, and put it on your picture if you want to. But this boy says to me, you can't have these pictures because this is copyrighted material. And I said, that is Jeff Weinhaus, and he's the person who told me to come get this picture made. And he said, this is a YouTube picture. You can't have it. You don't have a right to it. It's copyrighted. I said, no, the picture does not belong to YouTube. And you can get that arrow all day long online and put it on any picture you want to. You're not the judge of whether this is a YouTube picture or not. And regardless, I clicked on the question at the kiosk that asked me, do I have the legal right to this picture? I clicked yes, because I do, because I've been asked by this person, who it is the picture of, to get the picture. He says, well, you can't. And then the middle lady steps 1 step forward and she says, you cannot have this picture. It's copyrighted. And I said, I want to speak to the store manager. And she said, I'm the Photoshop manager, in a real attitude. And I said, well, I asked for a store manager. And you guys, I've always been told, don't take a no from someone who does not have the ability to give you a yes. Go to the person who can say yes. And so I asked for the store manager. And she wouldn't move, you can't have this picture. And I said, okay, I've waited and you're not calling a store manager, so I'm gonna take this picture. And I only picked up 1 of them. There was 2 of them laying there. I picked up 1 and I said, I'm going to the front of the store and ask them to call the store manager. And I turned and started with my cart towards the front of the store. Didn't take me long to get there. When I got there, there was a guy with a Walmart vest on with his phone up to his ear, and he's watching me like a hawk. And the Lord reveals to me, he's calling the police. He's calling the police. So I just simply go the rest of the way to the front of the store, which was only a few more steps. I'm standing kind of in front of the service desk area, which is a wide open area. I'm not out in their big aisle that's in front of the registers. I'm standing back right at the edge of the service department, service center. And I said, I said to the guy, I'm waiting for a store manager. And it hit me like, I better record this. I'm not used to doing that. So I got my phone out And I pushed record, and I'm telling what's going on. I said, this guy's calling the police on me because the photo, I told the little brief story, and I'm standing there. I'm not running, I'm not going out of the store. I'm standing there waiting for someone to get a store manager for me. And nobody's coming. Then she comes, Miss Photoshop Manager, and she walks up and he hands the phone to her. So I know beyond a doubt then, he's got the police on the phone and over a picture of Jeff. So I said, in my video, I can't believe this is happening. So here's what happens. One person comes over to her and talks to her, and they're trying to stand in front of her to block but she's, you know, she's 10 feet from me. She's at least 10 feet from me. And then another person comes over and that person leaves. 3, 4, or 5 different people walked up to her while this is all going on. Nobody's getting a store manager for me. I'm a criminal. I'm standing there with the picture and I'm waiting in the store for a store manager. Okay, then, I don't know how much time elapses. You know how you lose track in some situation like that. But eventually, she talks to whoever she's talking to on the phone, and then she walked over to me. Now, all this whole time, she has never asked me one time to leave that store. I'm standing there waiting for a manager. She walks over to my cart and she says, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Now, you guys, this is on video. It's on my phone. But the Catoosa Police Department has confiscated my phone for evidence for them. Walmart's got all this recorded. If they wanted a copy of a video, they could get it from Walmart. So they don't want a copy of the video. They want my phone, and they want to erase it off my phone, which is what I think. Okay, back to my story. She says, I'm going to ask you to leave this store. And I said, I'm waiting for a manager. And she said, I'm telling you to leave this store. I said, I'm waiting for a manager. And I said to her, you won't even stop a shoplifter that you've watched pick up merchandise and stuff in their clothing. You won't even stop them until they go out the door of your store, because they're not a shoplifter till they go out of here. I know you won't even confront them in your store. And I'm standing here with a picture asking to speak to a manager, and you called the police on me, and now you're telling me to leave your store? I can't believe this. She took hold of my cart. My purse is sitting in the baby seat part. She took hold of the front of my cart and starts pulling me out of the store. I can't, I'm still filming. Now, every now and then my phone will cut off from filming because it'll only film so long, and then you've got to restart your video. So at some point during that time, I had to restart my video, and I did. And she pulls me out of the store, and then she says, there's the police right there. And so I stepped over 1, 2, 3 police cars for me over a picture at the photo department. I want everybody that's watching this to hear me. A picture at the Walmart photo department, and everything that happens to me from this point on is because I was making that picture of Jeff Weinhaus. Now, whether it was I'm not saying it was a conspiracy, but here's the truth. It was a picture of Jeff Weinhaus, and they're calling the police on me. Okay, so I walked over to the policeman, the first policeman, and I start telling him what happened. And he doesn't say a word, he's just standing there listening. Then the second guy, and this happens in a matter of just, 20 seconds or so, the second guy walks up, and he's all decked out in a, almost like SWAT gear. He's got the vest thing on that's real puffed out, and he's the tough guy. This is the guy, Officer Evans, that turned my Friday into a nightmare after the photo department manager, who then when she got to the front of the store, she said to me, I am the manager. I said, you told me in the back of the store you're the photo manager. Now all of a sudden you're the manager, which was not what she told me. Okay, so I'm telling this first policeman, then I said, and what is your name? When the second one walked up, he said, and very, very rude to me, very sarcastic, very cocky. Officer Evans. And in other words, I'm in control here. And then the other guy, I don't remember his name, but he seemed to be a very calm, gentle man. But Officer Evans is the attending officer. And I didn't know that. I'm talking to the first guy first. He's the sergeant. He just lets it pass right over to Mr. Hotshot, Officer Evans. Okay, so Officer Evans, when I try to tell him, he doesn't want to hear it. Now I'm videoing. And this first officer says, okay, you're threatening us because you reached that phone towards us. You'll see, if I ever get my phone back, you'll see in the video that I'm moving the phone from one to the next one as I'm getting their names and all. This is how far I can extend my arm with that, and they're right here. And so the first guy says, he pulled his phone out when he saw I was videoing. He said, I'm gonna video too. I said, great. And when I held it up like this, he said, now you're threatening us. You're in our face with it. You can't do this. And so he reached his phone right in my face and said, see, when you do something like this, and he was right here in my face. So anyway, I don't want to go into all those little details, but I think that's kind of significant. So he says, well, this is the attending officer. I just arrived first. So Officer Evans takes over. And Officer Evans, I said, okay, I'll tell you what happened. He said, I don't want to hear what happened. I know what happened. I said, you haven't heard anything from me. He said, I don't have to hear anything from you. I've got the story, and I know what you did. And so he says, I'm telling you to leave. And I said, really? You won't let me tell you what happened? He said, okay, this is the second time I'm telling you to leave. I said, well, okay. And so I start to turn away to my cart, and I start to put my phone down, and my phone clicks off. The video clicked off, and he saw that it was no longer recording. He said, now get out of here. That's exactly how he said it to me. And I said, wait a minute, I want to restart my phone here and have you repeat that. And he said, okay, you're under arrest. Okay, you're under arrest. He grabbed my left arm, he put it behind my back, and he handcuffed me, and he handcuffed me so tight. And I've got pictures of what, and I don't think you can see it in here, but this is 2 days later. And right here is the cut that's got a scab on it. And maybe they can see it, maybe they can't, but I do have a couple pictures of it from yesterday and from today, where he put the cuffs on me so tight, and I asked about 5 times through the rest of the evening that I spent with this officer, I asked him to please loosen that cuff, and he never would. I asked at least 5 times, and he would not. Okay, so he grabbed that arm and put it behind me and cuffed it. I've got my phone on a little small tripod in this right hand, and I know he's gonna grab my arm and jerk it just like he did my left one, and he's gonna break my phone. So I reached to set it on my purse in the cart right in front of me, and he said I resisted arrest at that point because I set my phone on the purse. He grabbed my arm and jerked it. Well, thankfully I had set the phone, little tripod on there. He grabbed this arm, put it behind me, and handcuffed it into the other handcuff. Then he took my phone on that little tripod and he lifted it up and he shook it like that, as hard as he could, and it slammed my phone down, and thankfully it slammed it onto my purse. And then he set the tripod on top of it. And so I'm handcuffed, and they put me in the patrol car and they take me to the Catoosa Police Department in Catoosa, Oklahoma. When I get there, he gets me out of the car, he takes me in, and they handcuffed my wrist to a bench, and I'm sitting handcuffed like this with the tight handcuffs. The officer that brought me there, Officer Evans, and another man that was in there start ridiculing me and humiliating me and mocking me. And when they asked me what my job was, I said Ministry in Motion Incorporated. And then they start mocking and telling me I need mental health care, that there's something wrong with me mentally, and laughing and scoffing at me. And I said, are we being recorded? Sorry, guys. I said, are we being recorded? Because I saw a camera up there, and Officer Evans says, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. And the other officer standing in the doorway who had mocked me said, you told her, yeah, sure. I was not being recorded. They're not doing any recording of any of this. So anyway, he takes time and he does his report, and he gets the report from the Walmart photo manager, and he goes off of that, what she's written, and he even comments to the other guys, boy, she's long-winded or whatever. So I knew it was from her. He took off of her report. So Walmart pressed trespassing charges against me. The Catoosa Police Department added to that resisting arrest and obstructing an officer. And on the way then to take me to the jail in Rogers County, which is 15 miles away in Claremore, I said to Officer Evans, my wrist is hurting really bad and you won't loosen this. And I said, do you enjoy inflicting pain on people? And he said, as a matter of fact, I do. And I said, that breaks my heart, and I'm going to be praying for you, because anyone who enjoys inflicting pain on someone has something wrong in their heart. So we get to the Claremore Police Department, and we walk in, and there's 4 other officers there, one behind a large desk, a tall desk, standing up. It's up on an elevated pedestal type thing, and 3 other officers, plus the one who brings me in, Officer Evans. So 5 police officers. 4 of them are sheriff's deputies, and then Officer Evans. When I got in the door, and all of them are standing there, this guy who happened to be Asian, I don't know his last name, but he's an officer who is of Asian descent. He said, did Evans hurt you? That was his first thing he said to me. And I said, are you kidding me? I'm standing between 5 police officers, one of whom is the officer you're asking me about, and you're asking me if he hurt me? And he said, I'm serious, laughing. And I said, well, as a matter of fact, yes, he did, and my wrist still hurts because these cuffs are way too tight. And someone at that point, a girl, a female officer, stepped forward and loosened finally, for the first time, an hour later, the cuff on my wrist. So they put me, wait, before they did that, they made me put my hands on a counter, and the woman officer patted me down all over, patted every part of my body, and then took me in a room and closed the door and picked out some clothes for me and told me to take all of my clothes off, and she was going to give me clothes to put on. And then she told me, when I was naked, she told me to turn around and squat down and cough 3 times to ensure I didn't have any paraphernalia in my body cavities. Now, folks, I want you to remember, this is happening to me because I went to the photo shop in Walmart to make a copy of Jeff Weinhaus's picture. So I can't believe it, this is happening to me. And it was the grace of God that I could just maintain my composure, and knowing the devil hates me and he hates this mission that we're on to see that Jeff Weinhaus is freed. So she gives me the clothes to put on, she brings me out to the area there, and then they take me to a holding room where they open this door, and I'm looking in at what looks to be a dog pen. And I'm not joking you. On the floor was a little flat cover type thing, like I would have rented from U-Haul to throw over my dresser to keep it from scratching. You know how thin those are? Like about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch thick. That's what was on the floor for me to lay on. And they told me I wouldn't see a bail bondsman or even have bail set till the next afternoon after 1 o'clock. And it's 11 o'clock at night. By this time, they left me in there for several hours. No, I'm sorry. They put me in the holding cell, and I was in the holding cell for almost 3 hours before they brought me out to book me. So I'm in there, and another girl is in there. And this other girl has been in AA for 33 days, sober for 33 days. But her husband abused her that morning, and she had the marks on her, and I witnessed them. I saw them. Her arms were horribly bruised and scratched where he had abused her. So she drank that afternoon, and then she was leaving him to get away from his abuse, and the police stopped her. And instead of her getting taken to a women's shelter, she was in the holding cell in the jail. And I told him later how upset that made me. So I'm in there for about 3 hours, and then they bring me out to book me. But they had asked me a question, they'd asked me a series of questions before they put me in there. So they had asked her the same ones. Have you been sexually assaulted within the last, I don't know how many days? Have you been abused this way? Have you been, whatever. They ask you that before they put you in the holding cell, so they already knew she'd been abused. I said, I'm ministering to this girl. I sang to her. I prayed for her. She was so concerned about her 2-year-old baby that was at home with the abuser. And they've got her in there, and she's crying. Okay, so 3 hours I'm in there. They finally bring me out. They're going to book me, and I get a phone call. And I called someone, and I'm not going to mention who it is. It's a relative of mine. This is the only phone number I could remember. This relative of mine has a business where doctors, lawyers, judges, people of renown come in pretty frequently. And because of that, he called a former judge. I want this to be known. He called a former judge of that very county I was in their jail right then. That judge, within 15 minutes, got bail set for me and got a bail bondsman on the way to the prison. And when I told the guy that's now behind, it's a different guy behind the counter now, when I told him that I'd called my brother and my brother was getting a hold of a judge, he said, a judge? And within 15 minutes he said, I've got information here that your bail has been set for $2,500. So a bail bondsman is on their way. Long story short, by midnight, now this all started like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. By midnight, that's when they changed shifts, and they said, hurry up and get your clothes changed. We're getting ready to change shifts, and you're getting out of here. And I'd signed the papers with the bail bondsman through a window, and so it's costing me money to get myself out of the prison or the jail because I was making a picture of Jeff Weinhaus at Walmart. Now, people are calling the Catoosa Police Department, they're calling Walmart, they're boycotting Walmart, they're calling to find out how this can happen to a person. The Catoosa Police Department still has my phone, and they said they're going to get a search warrant to get on my phone to view that video as evidence. They want to likely erase that video from my phone. So I had to buy a phone to make this trip to come up to Missouri to do the rally for Jeff Weinhaus. And so I don't know why. Oh, and by the way, the next day on Saturday, I drove my car home from the Walmart parking lot. And the next day, well, I didn't get home till 4 o'clock in the morning, so from the jail, so I had to walk. They put me out on the street outside the jail and said, you're free to go. I have no ride. It's after midnight now. It was 5 till when they brought me up to change my clothes. They boot me out. I have to walk to a Quick Trip that's blocks away and wait for my brother. So my brother comes to get me, and the next day he drops me off at Walmart. I take my car home, and the next day my car has electrical issues. The door locks are going up and down all by themselves. I'm not touching anything. My air conditioner stopped. My motor starts rocking like it's sputtering and dies, and it won't stay running. We jump it. My brother got someone to come over and take a look at it, and while that guy was there, I started my car, and it started right up and ran just fine. But while we're all three standing there, about 2 minutes into this, my car suddenly just cuts off like you turned the key off. So, say what you will or take what you will out of that. I have no vehicle now because my car is not running.